Congressman Hill, I'm wondering if you could talk to us a little bit about the Housing for 21st Century Act, the act that's expected to streamline housing development, provide incentives for builders. Just exactly what is the act and how is it going to alleviate the lack of supply in the U.S. housing market?
You bet. Thanks, Damon. It's such a big issue. We have so many people in so many markets that have experienced a run-up in house prices during the past 5 years, and certainly a run-up in mortgage rates due to the Fed fighting the Biden inflation from 21 and 22, and that's really caused a lot of people to not have access to the house that they want. So what we're doing today is we're marking up bills that will reduce regulatory costs of building new houses, improve zoning to encourage better density, more different kinds of units across different cities in the U.S. We're talking about improving opportunities for rural housing development, make it easier for a veteran to get a veteran's loan, and hold HUD accountable on what I think is a deplorable job that they've done over the past decade or so in managing public housing for our neediest citizens across the country who I think have many poor conditions, and HUD is not holding either private landlords or their own housing authorities accountable.
Congressman Hill, U.S. housing affordability, as we know, is at an all-time low. I'm wondering, what is the act or the bill, the proposal, how does it address homeowner expenses, utilities, insurance? I mean, we know that, OPEX has really risen over the past few years. Does it do anything to alleviate the stress on homeowners?
Well, on homeowners, again, 80% of the cost that goes into a house are local zoning, local code decisions, local development fees that are charged on building new houses. If you want to bring down the cost of the mortgage or the cost of property and casualty insurance, you need to confront inflation, which is why I believe the Fed's primary focus is price stability. And we've made progress from the 9% we experienced under Joe Biden's fiscal mismanagement and the Fed's mismanagement coming out of the pandemic. And there's a sustained pressure there to bring down costs, and that will in turn bring down property and casualty insurances. That will bring down the cost of financing. This is a prime goal for the administration. But what this bill focuses on is lowering the cost to manage housing, lower the cost to build housing. And that's something that I think will increase supply, and increased supply will lower prices. We've already seen a modest break in that 5-year high in price appreciation. About 11 of the top 25 markets are seeing some easing off on pricing.
Congressman, one thing that we keep talking about is the affordability crisis, and you've talked about President Biden several times. At what point do you think that President Trump needs to also, though, take some responsibility for the idea that inflation still is above its 2% target? He's talking about keeping rates even lower at the same time that he's been talking about the affordability crisis as a hoax.
Well, look, the affordability crisis is not a hoax. I mean, we see it in the grocery store when we shop. We've seen it in the price level that increased as a result, as I said, of the Biden inflation. That will come down over time. There's work to be done. I think the president's put his attention on doing that by lowering long-term energy prices, by increasing, we're going to vote this week to increase permitting on federal lands, which will open up future development for oil and gas production. That's good. Encouraging production across the country will bring down gas prices over the next few years. And petroleum goes into everything that we make, so that will help bring down prices, as well as some of the things we're tackling on deregulation and financing. I've worked hard in my committee to bring down the cost of financing by making our banks of all sizes more competitive, to have more capital to lend to people who are building houses or wanting to have a mortgage on their first house.
Congressman, just about a minute left, but how much will further Fed rate cuts actually help with the affordability crisis if price stability is, you said, is their preeminent mandate?
Well, look, this is why the Fed has a tough job to determine what the right price level is, what the right level of ample reserves are. And prices have been coming down. They just have gotten sticky right above the Fed's target. So I just simply say that the biggest tax on the American people is inflation, and we witnessed a 40-year high of it due to the mistakes made by the Fed coming out of the pandemic, and Joe Biden's decision to spend $6 trillion more borrowed in the markets that I think was not the right decision to take. and we got inflation as a result of too many dollars chasing too few goods for those 2 years. But it's coming down. The Fed's been focused on that, and they'll have to make the right decisions about the level of short-term rates. What I think people care about is that 10-year rate, because so much of our mortgage industry is tied to that. And it's why we have to do something about lowering our deficit, because the deficit is what puts that 10-year rate level at risk.
Republican Congressman French Hill, thank you so much for taking the time. Always love getting your thoughts.